Hello and welcome to NCAA.com for the 2017 Division III Women's Basketball Selection Show. I'm your host, Will Haskell. Thank you so much for joining us. Last year, Thomas More captured the national championship in Indianapolis, and today, 64 teams are hoping to follow in the footsteps of the Saints. In fact, there are 4 undefeated teams in this year's bracket, so it could be anyone's game. We're moments away from revealing the 64-team bracket, but first, joining us again this year via Skype is Dave McHugh of D3Sports.com, expert in all things D3 basketball, and will add perspective as we reveal the bracket. Dave, before we get to the teams, some of your thoughts on this season. We mentioned those 4 undefeated teams, very top-heavy. We could have some really interesting matchups later in this tournament.
Yeah, unlike the men, which was a lot of parity-driven, the women has been a little bit more top-heavy, as you point out. The tournament tends to be on the first weekend a little bit more on the side of the best teams, and then it gets more intriguing in the second weekend. I think we'll see that again here, but the whole season's certainly been fascinating. Really, watching those undefeated teams, some of them have losses to undefeated, so you really can expand that out even further. I think the top's gotten a little bit deeper, which will make this tournament, I think, a little bit more fascinating. Can any of those undefeateds get to the championship weekend is going to be the question. I think some have a chance, some others might not, and I think what we've seen this season so far is that even the top teams can be exposed, though the top teams only can get exposed by kind of their fellow top teams as well.
What are those tests? Competition begins later this week, so let's get right to the bracket. Our field of 64 teams is made up of 43 automatic qualifiers. There are 21 coveted at-large selections for those teams that are selected by the Division III Women's Basketball Committee. All right, 16 teams remain. And no surprise, we're going to unveil Tufts eventually, and here they are. The Jumbos fell to Amherst in that NCAA championship, but receiving an at-large bid with only 2 losses on the season. This is a national championship contender right here. The Jumbos lock you down on defense and boast the second-best scoring defense in the country, 42.1. Last year's national runner-up, making its 9th appearance in the NCAA tournament. St. Joseph's, Maine will be the opponent. Automatic qualifier from the Great Northeast Conference will travel for a first-round matchup. The Sales is in by way of an at-large berth from the Mac Freedom Conference and enters the field of 64 with a 20-7 record. Quadrant also features Husson, champions of the North Atlantic Conference, led by tournament MVP Kenzie Worcestershire, who notched 11 points in the conference final against New England College. The next host of these 8 is Scranton. The Lady Royals have won at least 20 games in a season for the 4th consecutive year and are making their 5th straight NCAA tournament appearance, led by a pair of senior forwards in Alexis Roman and Sarah Pinnock. Roman is one of the best shooters in the country at 62.5%, averaging over 17 a game, while Pinnock is averaging 11.4 points a contest and pulling down nearly 10 rebounds a game. For the year, she's recorded a pair of triple-doubles and is only one of 2 players in the country to record multiple triple-doubles throughout the season. Lady Royals will welcome University of Lady Royals will welcome University of New England. Nor'easters have the 5th longest active winning streak in the nation at 17 games, behind only the undefeated teams we've alluded to here this afternoon. Also playing in Scranton will be Eastern Connecticut State and SUNY Poly.
Scranton, for Royal fans out there that their men's team isn't hosting, this is the reason they're not hosting. The women are hosting. They get priority the opening weekend in odd number years. Scranton had one bad stretch this year. Otherwise, they've been extremely strong. However, University of New England's got a chance here because Scranton, if there is one tendency they have that worries me, is they sometimes will play to their opponent's ability. That may give the Nor'easters a legitimate chance. However, they're playing at Scranton, which is one of the most difficult places and home court advantages in women's basketball.
First and second rounds take place March 3rd and 4th. Sectionals March 10th and 11th. The semifinals will be March 17th, and the championship will be March the 18th at Calvin College in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Congratulations and good luck to all the student athletes competing in this year's championship.